Hello YouTube, this is Louis Mander back with another Sky Striker deck update. I was able to get some really good games in over the last couple of days of the Duelist Cup round 2 and wanted to show them off for you guys. I wasn't able to climb as much as I would have liked. I was a little busier over the weekend, so I wasn't able to play very many games, but I was able to get a few really good back and forth games against a couple of diverse decks as opposed to just all Spright matchups, and wanted to show those off to you guys. We're still rocking the same Sky Striker build that we have from the last couple of videos. I will say I'm probably going to be dropping the Upstart Goblins here soon in favor of maybe a couple of more hand traps that I could draw off of Maxi during my turn to actually disrupt my opponent's plays, maybe like an Effect Veiler or something like that. But I don't think the deck's in a bad spot at all with the way it's currently set up. I'll show you guys some of the replays so I can get your thoughts. Before we dive into those, I did want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been liking, subscribing, commenting on the videos. It really means a lot to me. I know Sky Striker is the deck I've got started with on the channel, and I'll probably always keep coming back to it. So if you guys enjoyed the Sky Striker videos specifically, feel free to leave a like or a comment letting me know. It would really mean a lot, and I'll try and get some more gameplay out for you guys before we see the meta shake up too much with tier limits coming on the horizon. Without further ado, we'll kind of jump into the replays. All right, everyone. Replay number 1 for us today is a matchup that took place during round 2 of the Duelist Cup up against Spright. You will see my opponent's going to chain Maxi during his own draw phase and then immediately pass to me. And then he's going to respond by using Maxi during my draw phase. So fair is fair. We both get it. I'm going to use Area 0 to try and pop the Upstart Goblin so I can go for the OTK line if I can get a Ray, even though I'm under Max C, but it doesn't work out for me. I do use the Upstart to draw into a Regeki I'll save for next turn. Hit for 15 with Rose, not bother going into Hayate since he's got the Max C. I don't think it's worth giving him the draw. And then I'm going to go into Shizuku and set the linkage so that if he ends up destroying my Shizuku, I can use the linkage to pop Area 0 and get a Ray and a Link monster on board for more protection. So that's my thought process. He's going to start pretty standard Spright combos, which I'm not too worried about given the hand that I have. I feel I can handle whatever board he throws at me. I just have to not die on this turn. With him using the Gigantic Sprites effect, I'm not going to be able to use linkage or summon a Ray that was in grave anyway. So I pretty much just have to hang on for dear life. Luckily, my opponent's not going to be very close to being able to OTK me, but he is going to get some pretty significant damage in on me. I'll end with right at about 2,100 life points. He sets 2 and passes back to me. We've got a pretty good start. We're going to use the Dark Hole to bait out the Carrot Negate so that my Regeki that I immediately use after it will resolve. So this isn't a big deal. He negates it. I use Regeki, and that's going to result in him responding by chaining Spright Elf to bring back the blue. I max C to hopefully get a draw off of it, which would have been great for me, but I forgot to account for that my opponent is the greatest player alive, so he had the crossout designator already set for himself. He is going to negate my max C from resolving, but once I get my Regeki in Chain Link 1 to resolve, his whole board is wiped. So at this point in time, I just have one back row that prevents me from being able to potentially OTK my opponent right here. So let's use the draw 2 effect. And that's a decent but not great draw. We're going to use the Area 0 to pop it, and we get the Engage, the best draw in our deck. We're going to use the Engage to get a Ray into hand and our draw. And then this Engage doesn't really matter for us all that much. We're going for the OTK line using the linkage and Ray that we already have. And you will see my opponent's not able to stop it. We use the Ray to poke before going into Hayate, and we don't need to dump Rose since we've had her in grave since turn 2, or turn 1. We use the Kagari to ultimately bring back the linkage, and then use the linkage again to go for the final blow, and we win game 1. Pretty straightforward game. I thought it was a nice display of going into the OTK line on turn 4 as opposed to just turn 2, and what my typical plays look like under Max C. But let's dive into replay number 2. All right, everyone, jumping into replay number 2 today. This is going to be a matchup up against Zombie World. This is one of the decks I don't always get to face, so good to get a change of pace matchup. This also took place in round 2 of the Duelist Cup. He is going to fire off the Zombie World straight away and the Foolish Burial that I'm able to negate with the Ash Blossom. He does have the Unizombie in hand and is able to send the Glow Up Bloom. I'm able to chain Max C, but however my opponent has Ash Blossom, so it doesn't matter what I'm trying to do. He's going to link these away into the Vampire Sucker, and then he's going to bring back the Doom King in my main phase early on. or my standby phase, excuse me. We're going to Lightning Storm to destroy the spell traps as the Doom King and the Vampire Sucker doesn't scare me on its own. We will go into Hayate and poke for 15, and we're going to dump the Engage so we can add it back after stealing the Doom King and linking it away into Zeke and banishing the Vampire Sucker. We'll go into Gagari in main phase 2 and add the Engage. He will get the Ash Blossom off, which is very unfortunate. I really wanted to prioritize this turn on being able to do the Shizuku Shuffle and getting Shark Cannon so that I could banish the Doom King so it wouldn't be an issue for me. I am still going to commit to doing that play. I just don't have the mecha modules in order to ensure that I get to set it back during my turn. My opponent's in top deck mode. Top deck's nothing. Passes straight back to me. And does get his Vampire Sucker back. At this point, I don't want that card in hand to be something like that Ash Blossom, as that's the only thing that really intimidates me, is activating Kagari here and not being able to get Engage to resolve. We do fire off the Engage and it does go through for us. We're able to add the Widow Anchor and top deck a Dark Hole. We'll hit for 200 with Kagari and link into Shizuku in main phase 2. We'll add the Afterburners and we'll Shizuku Shuffle the Widow Anchor we already had in hand to set back the Shark Cannon and the Widow Anchor, so we're in a pretty good spot. My opponent only has 2 cards in hand and we've got 2 forms of disruption. I'm going to banish the Vampire Sucker and bring it to my field actually during his end phase so that I can set back my Engage. And I plan to go into Dark so I can bring back the Sucker again and go into Access Code Talker. I'm not going to be able to swing in for game here, but I'm going to be doing a significant amount of damage so that next turn I can get a follow-up and cleanly end this game. We'll go into the Zeke and into the Shizuku so we end on the singular Sky Striker and have the Engage for next turn. I don't see what my opponent could top deck at this point in time that wouldn't win me the game, or that would prevent me from winning the game. He is going to activate the Zombie World and set 1. I negate his ability to be able to respond to spell and traps and destroy my own Afterburners and the Super Poly. Since the Zombie World isn't something I fear at all, Ray being a zombie isn't going to prevent me from winning this game, and we clean it up. Pretty straightforward matchup, but like I mentioned, a little bit more diversity. Let's dive into one final replay. All right, everyone. One final game for us today. It's going to be a matchup up against Live Twin Spright. This one took place during the Duelist Cup as well during round 2. You will see I open a pretty decent opening hand. I've got Dark Ruler and Dark Hole. Everything I could ask for, as well as a reinforcement of the army. So as long as he can't prevent my search, I should be able to full combo on my turn once it gets to me. My opponent opens a pretty basic starting board, so we're going to fast forward through his turn and not worry about it too much since it's going to get broken in just a second. He is going to get the Lila out and then set 1 card during his main phase and pass to me. We're going to top deck a Dark Ruler, and my opponent's going to use the Maxi during our standby phase, which is unfortunate. We'll use the Dark Ruler followed by the Dark Hole to break everything that he's got on board currently. We're going to fire off the Rhoda and get the Ray successfully. We are still under Max C, so important to remember this turn for us. We're going to go straight into the Shizuku, and since we're under Dark Ruler and can't do damage, we're not even going to attack. We're going to set the Widow Anchor, add the Engage to hand, and pass back to our opponent. He's going to fire off the Desires, draw 2, and allow him to go off with a Spright starter, bringing out a Spright Blue. We are going to Widow Anchor this immediately when it activates its effect and bring that over to our field so that he's going to have a harder time getting a level 2 on board. You can still normal summon, but 1 Spright on its own without something else isn't intimidating to me. We draw the Upstart Goblin, and we're going to fire it off. We get the Engage, and my opponent's going to Ash Blossom this, which is very unfortunate for us. It does ensure that I'm going to be able to get the draw 2 effect since I'm not trying to steal one of his 2 monsters with Triple Tactics talent though, so that's the plus side for us. Once this resolves off our draw 2, we get another Engage in Rose, which is a pretty terrible draw. We get the Kagari to go through and activate on the Engage. However, we get impermed, and this is where it's key to always know you can fire off this linkage to prevent anything from targeting your Sky Striker monster. My opponent realizes this as well and concedes. And these were the 3 matchups I wanted to show you guys from round 2 of the Duelist Cup. I didn't get to play quite as many games as I would have liked to, but I overall had a good time, and I'll hopefully be able to play a little bit more next time. If you guys have stuck around this long in the video, I really appreciate it. Any like or subscriptions goes a really long way for helping the channel, and please give a comment down below on if this is the type of videos you guys like to see, or if there's more videos or decks you'd like to enjoy watching as well. I'd be happy to upload. Thanks, and have a great day.